Hey, everybody. Welcome to Warriors Den. We're here. We're live. We're in Montreal. I'm Eric Pope. Sadly, our friend, our dearly departed, dead, rest in peace, Emile Gauthier, he's very sick with the flu, but he's here in spirit with his medieval times crown, shouting something profane in Quebecois, French. But he's here with us. I'm going to put that back. It's probably going to fall. Hey, and we're here with Roman and Damien, two of our game directors. And we want to talk to you about a ton of stuff today. So on the show today, look, I've got show notes. That's how prepared we are. On the show today, we're going to do Faction War results. As you know, the season just ended. So we're going to have our designer, Biojad, join us to talk about the Faction War that just ended. Also to talk about the off-season period that we have entered this week. And then we're going to get into, which I know a lot of you want to know about, Season 2. Details about Season 2. We're going to give you a glimpse of some stuff, including a look at 2 new characters. Then we'll do some Q&A with Roman and Damien. But first, the news. So again, I told you, I got notes, so I'm going to read. We got news, guys. All right, the heavy stuff first. There are some current issues. Yes, we see you in the chat. Yes, we know. So there is a Ubisoft-wide online services outage. Yeah. So Rainbow, Ghost Recon, and us as well, For Honor, currently is offline. Our teams are working on it all over the multi-thousand person company we have around the world, trying to get this fixed. We do not have an ETA to share. What I can say is as soon as that is resolved, we're going to push our console update, which was scheduled for today. This isn't canceling that, so we just need it to get resolved, then we can do the console update that many of you are waiting for. Some of you on PC yesterday with the PC update know that there was a crash that some folks were having on startup. We have identified the root of the issue. We have a fix for it. We're just going through our QC testing process to make sure nothing new is introduced. That said, if you are super antsy, we've seen the community has found their own workaround, which is not an officially endorsed workaround, but if you're that intent on playing our game, kudos to you. You can check that out. But what I want to say about that is if you've been affected by this PC crash on startup, contact support.ub.com. We want to know each person that was affected so we can properly take care of you in whatever way you expect that to mean. There's another issue as well. Some folks, a small number of folks, found at the end of the season they didn't get their rewards. So we're aware of that, and we have also found the root cause of this. So again, please contact support.ub.com so you can get on our list of affected users so we can fix the issue for you. And a fresher one, just before we started the stream, that we've been looking into. There's some matchmaking issues that we've seen on PC that we're working on very hard, in fact, because we take it quite seriously. So that is kind of the top priority at after we get things rolling, of course. So some folks are noticing when they're trying to get into Duel that they're kind of kicked out of matchmaking after 15 to 20 seconds. Yeah. So very aware of this, very much working on it and digging into it. So thanks, guys. And what's helpful, some folks actually gave us a video so we could see what was happening. That always is very helpful for us to reproduce problems. So thanks for the community for sharing that stuff. That's all the heavy, boring stuff to get out of the way.
So we start?
Yes, now we actually start having fun.
Hi.
We've got a lot, right? So the first thing, just some housekeeping. This right here, noon Thursdays, noon Eastern time, Thursdays is the new day and time for this stream every week. You can catch us here, noon Thursdays, barring both Emile and I being sick, or if we're doing something else on another day of the week that sometimes happens. That could happen again. Sometimes we do bigger streams with bigger folks. Not that you guys aren't great guests. Sometimes we have even bigger celebrities. But the general weekly time is noon on Thursdays. So lock it into your calendar. Well, folks.
Yes.
Patch 1.06. We talked about it in depth last week with Emile. Yep. One big piece of feedback that we saw a lot, and we've seen it in our chat already today. What's up with the Raider? Why is no Raider buffs happening? Why is no Raider balance change happening in this? Roman, do you have anything you want to say? Are you trying to hint at anything with this beautiful headgear you're wearing?
No, the radar buff is coming. We made some tests to try to have it in patch 1.6. It was not as great and it was not fitting in the timeline. So we're working on it. It's definitely gonna happen, but not this time, sorry, but soon.
But it's coming.
Yes.
We are not forgetting about you, Raiders.
No, definitely not.
And something we did not talk about on the show last week that we performed at the same time as that PC patch was a live update for all platforms.
Yes.
So Damien, I thought we could briefly chat about that. There were basically 3 things we did there.
Yeah, so we spoke already about re-enabling the join in progress in start flow. So now you can join matches during the character selection, during the face-off. So this way, most of the matches will start full when some people leave.
And this is to address previously, what was the case previously?
So it's just to help the global flow of the game. So it will make most of the join progress before a match starts. So this way you don't have people joining after 1 or 2 minutes. So it's always better to have them earlier in the match. So that's a reason. And the other reason is basically we want to re-enable join progress in start flow and then in end flow. So it's a whole process where we want to have more join progress before and after matches rather than during matches.
Cool.
So that's the first step.
Right, the end flow piece of it has not been enabled yet.
It's not been enabled yet, but soon.
Great. Cool. And the skill relaxation.
Yeah, so one of
I was told on Reddit that I was telling a lie.
What
They
lie?
said, like I'm going to believe you guys actually do anything with matchmaking apart from lumping us all together. And I said, would I
No.
really go to all the work of like coming up with a public lie that I'm going to put on the record forever? So yes, we do actually have different parameters to our matchmaking, guys. Believe it.
Yes, it's even if we don't really show them,
Yeah.
they are there. So we matchmake on your skill. Everybody has a value based on their performance on matches. And so we use that for matchmaking to have more balanced matches. And we relax that a bit differently so that for players that are on the extremes of the skill bell, that can find matches more easily, basically. So we extended the timeout. Now matchmaking timeout is to 6 minutes and not 4 minutes. And the relaxation is a bit sooner, so this way players who are not on where everybody is, basically will find matches more easily.
Great. And the third thing was a fix for players getting that 1512 error.
Yeah, so I don't know if we fixed all of it, but we fixed part of it. So some players weren't finding anybody anymore, so they were matchmaking in the void, basically. So we found the root cause of that and we fixed that. But we're still investigating all those types of errors.
Great. That is the news. The last thing on my list for the news is the new content this week, which is
pretty cool content.
Incredibly brutal, just
Yeah.
to prepare you if you haven't already checked it out in the game, because it's available, but people can't play their games, is new executions. Every character is getting a new execution this week, which you can unlock with Steel. And we have a video to show you.
Same price as the other executions. So
Excellent. So let's check out that video, and we'll be back with Biojad to talk about Faction War. Like I said, pretty brutal.
They're
I love
always
that
good.
Nobushi one at the end. What a good wrap up. Welcome, Bio, back to
Hi.
our stream. You were on a while back.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've changed teams, so
Yes.
I was very busy. But now I'm here.
What did you work on previously?
I was doing the game modes and balancing for the modes, but now I moved on the economy side with everything related to XP or the faction war also.
Great. And that's what we're here to talk about is the faction war. We just wrapped up our very first season.
Yes.
How closely were you watching that?
Well, every day.
Yeah.
We have a nice tool in the game to where we can see every turn, but also we have our own data collection, so we're monitoring that very closely. Since the first time it was live, obviously. We're very excited. I'm a Viking, so I was extremely excited.
Me too. Me too.
Especially last
well.
round was something, so yeah.
Oh my God. So before, yeah, exactly. You just said it. So congratulations to the Vikings.
Yes.
On a really great, man, the way it ended was really actually pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
So if we want to get into the little details of that, I think that would be cool. How did this season end? Or actually, first, let's set the stage. Let's go round by round and tell people the stakes. So there's 5 rounds in the season. Do you know how it went?
Of course.
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
I do. So most people know that the way it works to win the season, you got to win the most rounds. So it started with the Vikings winning the first round pretty comfortably, and then the Samurais won 2 rounds in a row, and the Vikings were in a bad situation actually. Knights were second in a lot of territory updates, so it was quite intense in terms of downfall for the Vikings. Lots of meme on the team, lots of people talking about it and nagging me, asking to do some backhand changes. But and then the Viking won the 4th round, and the 5th one was just incredibly tight. It was crazy. It was actually a tiebreaker between the Knights and the Vikings.
The good old Knights.
Yes. Well, they were second in so many moments. They were so close all the time. So when there's a tie in amount of territories, the way it works is we use the amount of war assets that the factions deployed in total in that round to
Right.
define who's going to win. And in that case, they were less than 2% between the Knights and the Vikings. So it was crazy intense.
Poor Knights, you can't catch a break. So yeah, it ended with a tie. The territories, the same number of territories of the Vikings. and the
22
Knights.
each, yeah.
22 each. I don't know what happened to the Samurai this round, but
They were sleeping,
yeah.
I guess. 'cause-
but as you said, a 2% difference eked out the victory for the Vikings.
Yeah, it was pretty cool and fun to watch, especially all the territory updates was very tight. So good job, everyone. Almost there, the Knights.
Yes, yes, and I thought it would be cool for you to share some of your stats that you have
Yes.
as you're tracking the faction war as it happens. So I think one interesting one is the final round's war assets percentages.
Sure,
actually, you just said that.
that's
You just
the
sorry.
point. Yeah, that's fine. So
Boom.
I have a lot, but I actually have numbers because there's a lot. We track tons of things in the faction war, every movement, obviously every turn, every territory update. But I bring some fun, cool things for all the factions. So, for example, we think that the Viking won for 2 main reasons. First one is that the Vikings, they actually deploy manually more often. They deploy manually the war asset at the end of the match 47% of the time, while the Samurai is 44 and Knights 45.
So,
Yeah.
as I was just seeing people talking smack in the chat, it actually matters. It matters when you deploy your war assets. It's
Yes.
It's not a meaningless thing. It's not random, as I saw someone just say. So the fact that the Vikings, more Vikings across the world, took the time after a match to deploy their war assets, in the end, cumulatively, that made a difference because it meant someone was thinking about where they're putting them. It's not just spread evenly around the front.
So there's 2 advantages with doing that. You can, yes, choose the territory and see where there's weaknesses in the enemy territories so you can attack, or where you want to defend your territories. But also, there's a bonus of 20% if you deploy your asset manually on the same front that you've played.
Boom.
So if I deploy if I play a Dominion game and I deploy on that front, I'm going to get 20% more. So we think that is a big. It had a big impact on the wins of the Vikings.
That's
actually.
amazing. I love it. So I hope you guys take away something from this, that take that extra 5-10 seconds to deploy your assets after a match.
Yeah, yes.
What else we got?
Well, we got that in general, the Vikings per match, they generate more war asset per player. So that means that their performance is the best in the match. Yes.
So in a way,
Vikings. Are
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say,
best.
I'm okay to say this because I'm also a Viking. In a way, you're saying the Vikings are the best players.
Well, in average, they generate more. So they have better scores.
Right.
So the more score you get, the more assets you're going to have to deploy. So it also matters a lot. But in the opposite side, the knights actually deploy more often than all the factions. So that means that they are the faction that is the most dedicated to the faction war.
Those knights, they're so loyal.
They're so loyal. Yes.
They're like living their mythology of the loyalty.
Yeah, so they're really dedicated, and that's why they almost always second and really close to there. But it's just about the performance. You
Right.
gotta up it
Right?
up to notch.
Dedication's good, but being a badass sometimes is better.
It's always better to be badass. And lastly, I have something about the samurai. They're actually the most popular faction
Right.
in the world. I have numbers because it's too much to just like know on top of my head. So in the world, Vikings are 33.3%, Knights 31.16%, and the samurai are actually 38.81%. So it's a lot more players are in the samurai faction. But I just want to remind people that we have a balancing a formula that just does a ratio with all the players in the world in the factions and will give you more or less war assets depending on the faction you're in. So it doesn't matter if you have more players in your faction, you will generate less war asset, and if you have less player in your faction for the same actions, you're going to generate more war assets. And I have a little thing on this. So with the modifier, even if we have that difference in the amount of players, the number of war assets deployed
The breakout
this
between the
season,
three.
the final number is for Viking 33.87.
33.87.
Yes. For Knights 32.99.
32.99.
And for Samurai 33.14.
33.14.
So
Wow.
it's super close with the three factions. So everyone did a crazy good job. There is no clear winner, just winners,
Right.
which are the Vikings.
Well, some people say in war, nobody wins. Or in our
Except the
game, in
Vikings.
war, everybody wins. Except for the Vikings, of course. But I thought it was important to talk about that stuff. I know
Yeah.
some of you, yes, get to the Season 2 stuff. We know. Fix the game. We know. But I think a lot of people need to hear this stuff because I see a lot of things in the community that are untrue. A big one being, the faction with the most players is clearly going to win. No, boo-hoo.
Yeah,
it's not true.
We do with Reddit, and everybody thinks it's the Vikings as the most numbers, but no, sorry guys, it's Samurai, like 8% more than Vikings.
Yep. Warlord Creeper 13 cares about the faction war. Good, because we do too. That's why we're talking about it.
Thank you.
So all that said, if you logged on today or yesterday, you should have right away gotten your season rewards.
Yes.
Again, like I said at the top show, if you didn't, please talk to support.ub.com immediately. Get a ticket in, because we will be able to fix that.
Yeah, the guy that fixes it is in front of me, actually.
So you'll just
he's sitting just in front of me, and he's really upset about it. So we know.
Yes. So do that. Don't just grumble about it. Just contact us, and we can get you taken care of. Otherwise, we can't fix it for you. But that said, we have a little video to show off the faction war reward, the season rewards. If you haven't had a chance to check it out in the game, so let's hit it. Cool stuff. So you see it's a pretty substantial reward for the winner.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Ornaments for each character. It's awesome. in
They're
addition to
pretty.
crates.
I really like the Lawbringer with the 3 little heads on top of your head. It's kind of creepy.
Yes, our artists really stretch out the creepy parts of their brains
Yeah,
for some
this
of
one
these
is
things.
pretty creepy.
But Bio's not left us. The season's over, and we're in what we're calling the off season right now.
Yeah.
So first things first, how long will this off season last? People want to know.
It's gonna last 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yes. But we still release normal content, so there's no break in terms of the new ornaments or stuff that we're gonna continue releasing. And it's still around, so you can still have reward at the end of it. So you gotta play in the round to get your round rewards. But for sure, it's considered as a normal round.
Right. And what is like the most? What's the most important thing that players can do during this off season if they want?
Well, the best thing to do if you want is to change factions, but because if you change faction during the season, you will not have your season reward.
Right.
So this is the time if you want to switch faction to do it. But as I said, it's not because the faction has most warriors in it that they're going to win. The Vikings are actually the less numerous faction than the one, so don't all go to Vikings because they won last faction. It won't help you. You just have to play better. But if you have a change of heart, what happens is the moment to do it. Otherwise, since there is no faction war, you can try different stuff and try different heroes and not care as much about the number of wars that you're going to deploy because you don't have as good of a score. So it's a good moment to try different heroes because it's just a round. It doesn't impact the season. So there's nothing about cool new ornaments at the end of the season you can get. So you just, it's time to try new stuff. Basically.
Right, so you can sort of stretch out a bit with characters you haven't played without worrying, oh, but if I don't do great, my faction might not do great.
It's a moment to do that. Yes.
Cool. And that was sort of the end of our stuff, but before you go, we asked the community 2 weeks ago to submit ideas for new orders. I don't know if you saw this.
Of course, well, I take care, our team takes care of the orders now, and it's super cool to see how many ideas we've gathered, and we actually did the same thing on the team at the same time, and we gathered all of those ideas, we mixed them up, like no differences between what came from the community, what came from the team, what came from our own designers. So we have a bunch of ideas of new orders, and we started to filter them out, and actually our programmers started working on some of those this week. So
amazing.
They're coming. There were some amazing ideas in it, some funny ones, some very impossible ones also. But it was great to see how people, it's the way that people play the game and what they would like to see. So it's always very worth it for us. It was gold.
It's awesome. It's a special thing, too, from the community side, to be able to ask the community for some suggestions and quite quickly start considering them and not just going into a black hole somewhere that I know that's sometimes an assumption like, here's my suggestions that no one's going to see. It's like, hey, we're actually throwing them into the pot with the other order ideas.
Well, we asked. It would be kind of a douche move to
it
not
would be
do
a douche
anything
move.
about it.
But you guys haven't met Emile Gauthier. No, he's great. He's the most opposite thing of a douche I've ever met. He's the nicest.
He's not there to defend himself.
No, he's in the chat. That's why I said it.
Oh.
So, Bio, thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure, guys.
I hope you found these stats and some background information interesting, because I did. I hope it dispelled some of the rumors that you have about our system. A lot of these things are very well designed for the intentions that we saw at the end. So now we're going to transition. Bio's going to walk away, and we're going to bring Roman and Damien back out to talk about Season 2. Oh boy, that was exciting. And I hope you are happy. You saw at the end there's a date there. May 16th. May 16th is the beginning of Season 2.
Yes.
People have been dying to know. Rumors have been swirling that it's going to be 5 weeks, 6 weeks. It could be months. Nope. It's less, what, God, it's 2.5 weeks from now?
Yeah.
Something like that. Three.
Three.
Woof. That's crazy. So welcome back, guys. Just briefly, I know everyone wants to do this. Before we get into it, I wanted to get a little, just your thoughts on how you thought Season 1 went with our game.
It's it's a pretty good
ride.
question. Well, it was a bumpy ride. We learned a lot. I won't say everything went according to the plan, but I think on the past weeks we had a really good communication with our players. I can clearly see things changing, and we also delivered a lot of patches, fixes, and it's only the beginning. Can't wait to have the new season kicking in. Can't wait to see the result of the last patch we did on PC and pretty soon on console to see how performance get better, etc. So I think we're on the good track.
That was a very good, polished answer. I just wanted to say to people like Roman, I think you should know, is kind of the perfect avatar for you, the player, because anytime you guys are upset about something, this guy he sits like 10 feet away from me, swearing in French, and I usually like, oh, okay, I know what he's upset about. So, yeah, I mean,
I broke my
broke
computer
his
screen.
oh my God.
Yes.
So yeah, we just want to acknowledge, yes, it was not smooth as silk. But what I think is important to point out, for what my job is, what Emil's job is, we are doing everything we can to work with you guys, especially in those moments when things are not going so well, to figure out, hey, what's not working, and it's not just always a bug, right? It's like the economy discussion, and then work with the team here how we can respond to that and change things so everyone's happy. And I think we've set a good precedent there, which we're going to continue forward with in Season 2.
Yeah, or improving the smoothness of the flow and the global quality of the experience while you're in game and not being constantly interrupted or being killed by an exploit or this kind of stuff.
Right. So that is that. Again, some key info. Key info right away before we get into the little more detail on Season 2. May 16th, Season 2 hits. And now what does that mean? What happens on May 16th?
So it means everything that comes with it is there. So the two new maps, the new items, so new weapons, new armor.
So what you mean there is it's a new level, a new rarity level for gear,
and
right?
also a new rarity level of gear. We also do a stats revamp, how the system works.
We've talked about that in the past.
Yeah, and we will again in the coming weeks to help people start new heroes, basically. Some new balancing on crafting, on XP, and stuff like that. Also, the two new heroes will be available starting May 16th for the Season Pass owners only during 1 week. So they have 1 week early access.
Right.
They get also access to an elite outfit in advance that they will be able to wear on those two new heroes, and that will release afterwards to everybody. So that's part of it. Maybe there were other
quick
stuff.
question from Smoking JD. May 16th
for all platforms.
All platforms.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yes.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I
That
should have
is a good
clarified
question.
that.
Yeah. And
Yes. You mentioned the new characters, so that's May 23rd.
Yeah.
The new characters will be available for
Will be
everybody.
Exactly, for everybody against Steel,
Yep.
What price?
of course.
What's the
At what
cost? That's what they
price?
need to know. Well,
know.
I almost want to, if there wasn't a lag, I want to see people bet on what they think the cost is. But then it'll take like 3 minutes and then we'll already have said it. But
And I know even a player asked it a few minutes ago, I think Tobias 808, something like that. So the price of the new heroes is 15,000 steel.
15,000 steel, not 50. 1.5.
1.5, same price as a mythic outfit.
That's pretty good. Pretty good as I see these numbers coming in. Some people are really lowballing it. 1,000 steel. Yep, 2 trillion steel. Nope. 15,000. That is great.
Yeah.
So I think that, in fact, is a good transition for us to finally let Roman speak. Poor man has been sitting here mute the whole time. His expertise is really when it kind of comes to the grittiness of the gameplay and our characters. So you saw in that teaser, maybe you saw in that teaser in that coat of arms a couple figures
Or maybe you saw it before on the internet.
Yeah, maybe you've seen this on the internet. I don't know. Maybe months ago. But yes, I want to talk about our first character.
So, somewhere in the south of the world of For Honor, there is an old empire that are still living, and they are sending one of their most badass warrior to help the knight to actually win a fucking season 2. Please.
And that is?
And that is the Centurion.
Let's check out the video. Now look, at the beginning, I told you we were giving you a glimpse. So don't yell at me. We're going to get more in depth as we get closer to season 2. You're getting a glimpse today, and that was your glimpse of the Centurion.
So he's a peacekeeper killer then.
Is he a peacekeeper killer? Word on the street, he's a peacekeeper killer. He is. I've been told he's like your favorite character.
Yeah, I think for me it's a really interesting character. He's really in your face. He has a lot of initiating move. He's able to put a lot of pressure. He has some really interesting melee moves that knock you down, and then when you're down, he has some follow-up that are actually really cool. And he's really brutal, and he has one of the best execution yet in the game. Clearly, it's one of my favorite characters, and I can't wait to be able to play it online because it's
That
gonna
was
kick
good.
some ass.
That was a classic, what they call in the business, tease. We can't show you any of that right now, but we'll get there, guys. I hope you're excited. But there's another character that might, if you're not interested in a big badass Centurion.
If you don't like Psycho Killer with
Yeah.
a mask, maybe you will be more interested into the next guy. So there's been a civil war among the samurai, and there's a new empire that has risen if you play the campaign. That guy, sorry, that woman, needs help to maintain her structure and to defeat the knights and the Vikings. And so there is an old samurai kind of cult that she's asking to help. And those are the shinobis.
The Shinobi. Hit it. Shinobi.
Shinobi. So that guy, I'm also really sold to that guy because he has some pretty cool new tool. Basically, with the Shinobi, we're trying something different. We're trying to have a character that really has long range.
That is
And
different, yeah.
The whole concept behind the character, so he has those sights that he can throw and bring back. And the idea is that he's a little bit inelastic. He's at distance, prepare his move, strike you from distance, then jump in, he's in your face, do some quick combo, go back, etc.
Oh, there's a good shot right there, too.
That's really the idea behind the character, is that mix between an actually long-range character and a really short-range, in-your-face, fast moves. And also, he's a character with really large movesets that will require a little bit more skill and a little bit more dexterity in terms of playing him. So I'm very happy to see him in the game.
And do you want to reveal what class is the Shinobi?
The Shinobi is going to be an assassin, obviously.
Assassin, I thought so. And the Centurion, we have a screenshot we didn't use, so if we can go back to that screenshot. And then what class is
So
the
the
Centurion?
Centurion is an hybrid. Is actually a mix between a vanguard and an assassin. He has some assassins still, like he has that move that we actually see on screen. That is a charge heavy attack.
Wow.
That pins the opponent. It's really a nice one.
I mean, while I was gone, you didn't do anything to the Peacekeeper, right? Like my character's the Peacekeeper, so I'm probably good to stick with the Peacekeeper. Yeah, you didn't do any balance changes there.
we made some slight adjustments to the Peacekeeper. So 2 patches ago, we made a first series of adjustments. Last time, again, we nerfed a little bit his light combo. The idea behind that change is we want those attacks to actually be fast. We want our light attack to move fast, etc. But what we don't want is people to just do light, and just spam that. That's why we've increased the recovery on that move, that if you commit to that move, then finish the chain, or it's not anymore your turn to play in a way. No, it's your opponent that can counter-attack, etc. Sorry about that, you will have to actually play the game and stop exploiting the character. You're gonna get it.
Okay, well, at least we have these new characters. Maybe I'll start fresh with the Centurion. He sounds pretty cool, but the Shinobi might be more up my alley. All right, fine. Peacekeeper, I still love you. We're still an item, but I might start seeing other heroes.
Durandal, who's the new Peacekeeper killer? I don't know, buddy. Tell me.
Well, Damien was joking that it's a Centurion. Could be. We'll see in
Didn't
3
hear it
weeks.
from me.
We had a couple questions that we wanted to address.
Yeah. So
Yes, that's the one we're answering right now. So Portuguese Boy 22, shout out. Are the new characters still 15,000 steel, even for people with the season pass? No.
no, for people with the season pass, they are unlocked right away.
Right. Yeah. You paid your money for the season pass. You get the characters. So there you go. Great. Again, that's the glimpse. That's the first look we're giving you at those characters. But we wanted to do some Q&A as well. I'm sure there will be plenty of questions in the chat. But we also prepared some questions from the community earlier. Oh, Tobias 808. Well, we just answered that. The new heroes cost 15,000 steel. So, fellas, Jack Carver asked us, it's good to see all the balancing going on, but any idea when we'll get more info in some form on the Raider buff or change? Raider is my favorite class, and seeing all the changes in the game makes me eager to play again, but with all these changes, more classes become viable, or at least more than they once were. So
like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, we are working on the Raider. We were not able to make it in time, to make this change in time for that patch. But a buff for the Raider is coming with more options inside his chains, more options from his heavy attack. It's gonna be a good improvement of the guy.
Great. I have a question, which is also being shouted multiple times in the chat. We have previously announced tournament mode, ranked. People are asking, where's my ranked? Where's my tournament mode? They don't have it yet.
No, they don't. We're still working on it. To be super honest, we focused our priority on stability first, because there is no point at releasing something as important as tournament while having people disconnecting and things like that. So we wanted to fix that first before pushing the tournament. And in the end, it's not that we stop the development of tournament, we're just making it better in the meantime, and keep working on it.
Yes, so it's still obviously
and it's
coming
with the rank mode also at
But
the same time.
hopefully you see the logic in that, and hopefully you as the community can acknowledge, had we put it out and there were issues, you would have ripped my head off and put it on a stake. So for my own self-preservation, I begged the team. No, it wasn't my choice, but that's the reason. So it's still coming. We'll let you know when it's coming, when we can. Next question from Kitsune. I'm incredibly curious, what are the ways of fixing the turtle meta that you are testing right now? The turtle meta, for people who don't know, means?
It means the game being overly defensive when you get to a high level of play. So currently, we're testing a lot of stuff. We have a build running that we are still testing internally. We are not yet ready to deploy it because that will have also some huge impact on other character. But things that we're testing, one of the first things is actually making the out of stamina state much more dangerous. Currently, you can be in that state and just dodge, and okay, you're back in life. And actually, you're not that much in danger when you're in that state. So that's one of the first things. It's making that a real drawback. Another one, it's a nerf of the parry in terms of how much benefit the parry gives you. So that's when I'm facing you and I want to attack you, I'm less scared about you parrying me. That's another big thing. Another thing that we're doing is we are making the dodge roll, so dodge back and roll or unlock and roll. We're making it vulnerable to attacks, to guard break, etc. A little bit less the I'm gonna escape, I win button that it is today.
So the main move that I use when I play as Peacekeeper, you
Yes, and
Great.
spamming like attack. Like basically, we're trying to get.
What did I do to
rid-
piss you off?
We're trying to get rid of your strategies. No. But so we're trying to balance that. Like basically, no, you will have to time that move and use it as an escaping tool, and can't use it as a way to just dodge any attacks. We are also looking at the chains, pace, and how much benefits you get out of a chain if you get blocked. Can you continue or not, based on if it's a light attack or heavy attack? That's the things that we are looking at, because currently there's something high level that we don't really like. It's the fact it's really like one attack, one block, one attack, one block, and it's not a succession of moves. So that's some things that we are looking at. So there's a lot of change.
A lot of people are yelling chip
Gonna take
damage.
a little bit. Yes, actually, I forgot this one. Yes, we are looking at increasing a lot the chip damage, and it's actually cool. That's raised then the question: can you have a chip victory, etc. Those are things that we're looking at. But so yeah, that's the kind of areas we are looking at, and we feel start to give some good results, and can't wait to have more people play it.
Awesome. Good answer, I say. Question from Acturi. Curious as to how Berserker has gone so long without bug fixes or changes. Top tier play can only light attack and guard break, since unless you throw them into a wall or on the ground, heavies just get parried every time.
Wow, the Berserker is not doing that bad actually, and it starts to have more moves that are usable. We improve the Dauntless. Also in this patch, we fixed the bug, the issue that we had where when you were knocking down an opponent, you only had one heavy attack. You didn't add any more that two heavy chain that was available. So now we're working on him and we're fixing his problems.
Cool. Was that 1.06 or 1.05 that you...
1.05 we improved Dauntless, but we broke the knockdown stuff and we fixed it in the last patch.
Okay, great. Grab one from the chat here. Valks asks, will the new classes have outfits available and also new effects?
So they will come with some outfits and ornaments only for them and things like that. So they will come like any hero of the game with a lot of content, and they will benefit from the weekly release of new outfits and new things that we will do also on Season 2, of course. And for the Season Pass owners, you have an elite outfit in advance on those two characters before anybody else.
Cool.
There's a question from Professor Grimm
Yeah.
on gender lock on new character. Are they gender lock? It depends. Like the Centurion is a male-only character. The Shinobi, you will have the choice to play it as a girl or as a guy.
Okay, so it's sort of matching the...
Yeah,
The 50-50
What's in the
that we
game
have
currently. Okay.
at the launch.
and that might be different on future character.
Right. Oh, you mentioned it, but maybe mention again the faction that the characters will be in by XX Mr. Boss.
So Centurion is here to help the Knights win. So obviously he's with the Knights.
Yep.
Shinobi obviously is with the with the Samurai.
Oh, yeah. Vikings don't need. That's why Vikings
Vikings
aren't
won.
getting
They
any,
don't
right?
need a new hero, right? That was.
That's why only
Since
two
the
characters
beginning.
this time, because the Vikings are just too dominant.
Too good.
Was rigged.
Not like any other characters are going to leak, right? No more leaks, guys. We want to give you surprises here. So I got a question here from Robin Moran. I've got a question for the Warriors Den. I'm just wondering how many people there are in each faction. Oh, sorry, we addressed this earlier, but I guess we can just kind of restate it. How many people are in each faction? Does this affect the faction war? Also, are there any geographical trends? For example, are most of the Knights faction in Europe? Oh, that's interesting. So we mentioned earlier that population,
so
obviously...
Bio already said it, that it's not based on the number of players, but because we define the number of war assets based on the number of active players per faction, what really matters is how performant you are in a match, so how good your score is, and if you deploy your assets manually or not, and how strategically you do that. Those are really the two most important things, and that's one of the reasons why the Vikings won. Regarding the second part of the question, yes, there are trends and very funny ones and interesting ones. So if I take the example of Europe, Europe is the continent that has the best splits between the three factions. So between Vikings, Samurai, and Knights, it's almost 33 for all Europe. But when you look more in details, if you look Northern Europe, Scandinavian countries, they're all for Vikings, of course.
Naturally.
But then when you go down, so UK, France, Germany, there are more Samurai, where people could have thought that they would be more Knights. But it's when you start looking at East, so Russia, Poland, Ukraine, those are more Knights than anything
Interesting.
else. So it's really
You yourself
really
are a French samurai, right?
I'm a French samurai.
What's the deal? What's the
He's a whip.
That's how we've been raised.
That's how you've been raised?
No, it's.
Oh yeah, really?
Next week on the show, Damien's background and history.
No, but we have a lot of Jap animation when we were kids.
Yeah?
Yeah, a ton.
Okay.
So
I mean,
think
we did-
maybe that's one of
Sure.
the reasons.
Okay. Some Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Talking about, okay. Did you used to wear those silk shirts that the anime kids would
I
wear?
won't answer that.
If you have a picture of Damien as a teenager wearing a silk Dragon Ball shirt, send it my way. I'll give you champion status.
I will pay for it.
So, someone in the chat said, these aren't real questions. They are. They're just not from the chat. We got them from other places in the community.
Actually, there was an interesting question
Yes.
on the chat. I don't
Hit
remember who asked it, around what's our position on 50-50s in the game. So
On
it's-
50-50s.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It does mean, like, for example, the Lawbringer, when he shove you, then he can either do a light attack, and if you try to block it or attack, I'm going to hit you. But if you dodge, I'm going to whiff. But instead of doing that light attack, I go for a guard break. Well, if you were trying to attack me, then I'm going to lose. But if you are trying to dodge, then I'm going to win.
Okay.
So it's that thing at which you can't react, but you need to make a guess. Okay. So we really like those mechanics, of course. They are, for me, really interesting fighting game mechanics. It's mechanics that we're trying to put a little bit more in the game. Now, is there a little bit too much of that on some character? Like having it on the Lawbringer on the shove for me is interesting, but being able to do the shove also after a successful block is maybe a bit too much. So we're looking at that. So yes, we think it's interesting. Is it in a position that we think is perfect and not never going to move ever? No, we're still looking at improving it.
Right. I don't have a good update for folks on the Flickr bug. We're looking into it, but I don't have any more information for you on that. But yes, we're aware of it. So bear with us on that one. Great. Smithers27 wants to know if there's anything being done about griefing.
Yes. So we use the report functionality of the game. It's true that we don't speak a lot about it, but when players report other players because they are insulting them or having bad behaviors or bad emblems or stuff like that, we look at that regularly, and we warn players first, then we ban them for a few days. We can also permanently ban them. We're not doing, we don't want to publicly say that this guy has been banned for 3 days or this guy because he did that, because we don't want to do a wall of shame, and we think it would bring even more toxicity among the community.
Some of us don't want to do a wall of shame.
So that's why we don't outstand that or speak about a lot about it, but we do it super frequently. Like every week we act on it, and it's on all platforms.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I know the team is looking into right now, specifically for our PC players, is the chat.
Yeah, so that's one part. That's what we're doing right now. And then on the devs, we're looking at ways to improve how communication works in our game. So by having more tools in the chat. By maybe banning people from the chat also, so not banning them from the game but only from the chat, or changing the rules by default, so maybe that you ask to see people speaking to you rather than having that thrown at you and you have to mute them, so doing the reverse. Checking bad wording, but we know that it can always be worked around. But so we're looking at all the ways how we can improve the griefing and the toxicity that you can face in some matches.
Cool. Pepito Magico. Good name. Will I be able to play the new characters without paying the 15,000, like the 500 steel unlock for the other characters? I think he means like test them out without actually recruiting them.
That's a good question. So you will be able to play them only in practice. So you will be able to. So 1 week after the 16th, so the 23rd of May, everybody can practice with them, see what's their move, if I like them or not, and also train against them. So you can also use them as bots starting on the 16th. So play against them to learn their moves and things like that.
Oh, cool.
So training is free in a way, but if you want to play them in multiplayer, you have to unlock them either through the season pass or against the 15k steel.
Cool. And I know a lot of you are shouting 60 frames per second on console. It's not as easy as snapping your finger and making that happen. I hope you're aware. I have no news for you on that. That would, I think, take a pretty big chunk of work to make happen on console hardware. We're pretty limited on our options there. People on PC are able to do a lot more powerful things. So that's one of the advantages for you folks on PC, but there's also disadvantages like being called terrible things in text chat. So it all evens out. And I think I'll wrap us up now. I hope we've answered a lot of questions. I thought actually before we wrap it up, I wanted to, can we show those teasers again? They were so quick, and I think maybe some people have joined. I thought it'd be cool to show the Centurion and show the Shinobi teasers again, and then I'll come back to me and give you a last sign off. Very cool, very cool. So next week, we're going to continue sharing information about Season 2. So please tune back in as we can get more in depth on Shadow and Might. Yes. Get more in depth on our gear. I know people want to know more about the new rarity, more about our maps, more about, that's right, we have new maps, more about these characters. So tune back in, same time, same place. Twitch. Sorry, I'm being messed with off screen.
We're being trolled, you see?
Yeah, I'm being trolled by our coworkers.
That's tough. Fighting against people, etc., and then being trolled.
Last thing, I'm also being told by these trolls in my room here that the servers are back on all platforms. The outage is over, which I'm hoping also means we're moving forward with the console update. I said it online, so it's happening. I'm getting a thumbs up. Yes, it's happening. So there you go, folks. Stay tuned as that rolls out. Stay tuned for all the stuff we talked about at the beginning of the show, those current issues that we're seeing. We're working on them very hard. So catch us on Reddit, catch us on the forums, our Twitter account, all that. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week at noon, right here, same place, with these guys again, unless you're sick or unless I'm sick. Hopefully Emil will be back, and catch you later, guys.